All right, everyone, let's get started. My name is Connie Nieto. I'm one of your Miami trainers. Today's class this afternoon is Form Simplicity. We're going to start where you can find everything that you may need for real estate at miamirealtors.com, your website. From here, we're going to go ahead and log in using the Miami Gateway. When you click on the Miami Gateway, it will ask you for your license number, right? And your password. And that will bring you to the Gateway dashboard. When you're here in the Gateway dashboard, I want you to note that you can actually get to Form Simplicity through the MLS. Here's Matrix. We have our update of coming soon, MLS briefings. And we're going to scroll down and you have your external links available to you, including Florida Realtors, etc. And you scroll down and you look for Form Simplicity. All you have to do is find your external links. So from here, we could simply come in and click, and it will take you directly to Form Simplicity. I like to show you this because many realtors come in directly to the MLS, right? And they open up to Form Simplicity. You can also click on your Miami Gateway, and the association has prepared for you single sign-in to Form Simplicity through here. And also, you can log into Florida Realtors, and Florida Realtor single sign-in, you can then select to have Form Simplicity. I wanted you to see that. I also love Zoom, so I want to share with you that there is a dedicated Form Simplicity page, miamirealtors.com, and you can actually search Form Simplicity, and you'll see it appear, and it will bring you to the page. I'm going to go ahead and copy that for you and share it via our chat. And you can also see here fast access and how to link in, webinars and tutorials in English and in Spanish, what's in it for me, and more. Once you do that, we're going to come to the very top. We're going to come back into Form Simplicity where you see that there's some esign information, scheduled maintenance, and other information that they let us know. You'll always get a pop-up. We'll close those out. We'll come in, and this is your primary view. This is from the home page where you could start a transaction, see your current transactions, scroll down, create forms if you're interested in creating forms with Form Simplicity, build a task template. I'll show you how to do that in a bit, maybe from inside a listing and further. Create a new clause. Most of you may be in need of using a clause. We'll have a disclaimer item from your office that you need to add to your paperwork. You can create the clause here. You can add a contact and do forms programming. Come to the top, you're going to see that you can log out and a help area. We're going to click into this help area. And when you click into the help area on the very top, it brings you to an additional page. Notice Form Simplicity is here. This is the Help Center where you have information like type of question, knowledge base, getting started, how-to videos and training available for you. And you can scroll down and you have the tech helpline, training your team. You can chat and email, new releases and data, stay connected with social media, all kinds of information from Form Simplicity. There's also the ever important Contact Us that you could click on the top. And this will take you to the tech helpline where you can chat or get form support at 407-587-1450 or to click to chat. And they're available, as you see here, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. There are knowledge articles available and open cases where you can click in. If you have an issue that's not easily resolved, you can click and put info in. I'm going to X out here from the help desk and remind you, I'm going to X from here, that we actually did this from within Form Simplicity in the help area on top. Easy to see, right? Alrighty, let's continue. Let's talk a little bit about preferences. Every time you go into a system, you need to do what? make sure that you make everything yours. And to do that in Form Simplicity, we do that how? We click on Preferences. Okay. And when you come into the preference area, you can expand the account information by clicking on the blue bar and retract it. So we're going to expand it. And here we have the name of the user, email address, content info, the type of Form Simplicity you have. So I have the unlimited edition, which includes esign, so I can navigate with you through that. You can select your method of communication, right? And save changes. Note, if you don't have, you see this area that's grayed out, you cannot change those, but you can come in as something civil and add your phone number, right? An alternative login and just click to save changes. Once you've done that, we close out from here and we can click on general settings. Here, I want you to take a minute, and if you're following along, this part is important because this email signature, as it says here, will be a part of your outgoing emails, collaboration invitations, and esign sessions, right? And you can come into here and start typing. I'm going to do so. Okay. You can type in your name, your title. You can make it bold, just like Word, right? Put in your preferences, your contact info, and I have Miami Realtors, and you can have your brokerage here. I'm going to give a minute in case you're looking to go ahead and create yours so that you have it. So 1 minute, and we'll be right back to save changes and continue. Alrighty, once you've finished up, we're going to click on Save Changes. Do you need 1 more minute? Let me know via chat. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click Save Changes, and we'll go ahead and toggle up to the blue bar, close it out, and next is email notifications. To me, one of the ways to make sure you're always on top of your transactions and what's happening is to make sure you have these all in green to show send. The email it will be sending to is from the account information area. It's the email that appears here. Now, these notifications, right? You can turn them off and turn them on, but it allows the system to notify you when a task is due, when an assigned task is marked as complete, when you receive a fax, when you receive an email or a message with attachment, when a transaction is shared with you, when a comment is made or shared on a form file, when a transaction checklist is approved, maybe your brokerage has a transaction checklist, when notifications of transactions that have been shared with, and then you can have alternative email addresses where you would like them to go. You can add them in and save. Next is esign templates. We'll review that when we do esigns to show you. Not everyone has esign, right? But it's something that you can upgrade. You can upgrade with the Platinum Plus, and I'm going to go ahead and open up Platinum Plus so that you can see it. And I'll share it for you to consider. And also you can join directly for the upgrade for $79 a year from Form Simplicity. Platinum Plus is an additional subscription, right? It costs $179 a year and has all of these wonderful items included. Coming back over to Form Simplicity, right? That was your email preferences and templates. Next, security settings. You have the option of creating 2-factor security settings here by clicking on and off. And if you decide to do it, you can do it either by SMS, phone verification, or email. What does this mean? I'm going to log in and I want to make sure that I'm the only user. So I can add this additional layered 2-factor option. Sometimes banks do this, your credit cards and more. Let's X out. Give me 1 second. Let me refresh. Not sure what's going on. There you go. We'll just do it from here. And then we have integrations. And these are neat and new items where you can click and connect to your Google Drive. So if you want to download and upload from there, Google Contacts. So how many of you may use Gmail or you have an account with Google? These are to connect with them, as well as the Google Calendar to synchronize dates and more. Then you have Dropbox. If you have a Dropbox account and you would like to download directly to Dropbox or Google Drive, you can just turn these on. You click enable integration and log in. That's the same thing that you would do for the Google Drive. You would just sign into your Google. The same with Google Contacts and the calendar. Then you have Earned Money. So if this is the way that you get paid or you want to send payment requests, you can do so. And then Rent Spree for simplifying tenant screening processes. You can integrate by clicking and enabling the integration. That was integrations within Form Simplicity. Next, of course, we're going to come back to the home page, click over on top to home, and we're going to start a transaction. So if you had a listing agreement, a listing presentation to fill, you might want to click to start new, right? Put the address. You can name the transaction the same as the address, and then you can select if it's residential, commercial, farm and ranch, or vacant land by downloading the property type. I'll select residential, and then the transaction type you click, and you can select. And let's say this was a listing. If you had a form package already created by your office, you could simply come and select. If you have this blank, I'm going to show you later how to create your own if you're interested. And we're going to go ahead and just create a transaction and not select from there. What have I done here? I have started my transaction. So instead of creating a manila folder and putting the name on it for the address and then getting the paperwork and printing it out and starting to fill it out, I am doing that all virtually. So it's like your transaction folder, but virtually here in Form Simplicity. The next thing I can do is I can come in and show more data and see all the data that I can include, including property type, listing if it had a listing number already, pricing, purchase, street address, legal description, year build, bedrooms, bathrooms, association fee, listing start date. Let's say it's going to start, August 2nd, listing end date. Let's say January 2nd, purchase agreement date, projected closing, due diligence, escrow money, earned money due, second earned money due date. And then there's a little button here. Do you see it? It wasn't green before, but it turned green when you hover over it. This is to import tax data. Super important because you could click here and actually import MLS information by using the listing number and looking for the API or doing a tax search. And you can use here an address. I'm going to use an example here. The most important, dropping down and selecting a county. Notice that I didn't put the zip. I didn't really have to put the city. I always required field is a county, and I click to find it. So I can actually import info from the MLS or from the premium tax service by clicking to find. And here I see the parcelation, the address, and if this is the tax data I want to bring in, as an example, I'm going to click select. And now I would bring in legal description, beds and baths, according to the tax service. Now, why is this so important? Information that you fill here, right, in the data area, will then fill out the forms that you start to add. So I scroll down, and I have here, I can add blank forms or form package if I had created one. I click to add a blank form, and I can see that I can search the library, etc. Or I can come and let's say that I need a listing. And I see I have exclusive, etc. Exclusive brokerage. I go to the list provided by the broker. And let's say that it says here to select exclusive right for transaction. Let's say my brokerage indicates to use that one. I select it and I add it to my transaction. And then watch this. Magically, the data that I've incorporated up here, if I were to click to open the form, it now reflects in my transaction. Isn't that nice? And I can come in if it's the financing terms, etc. And notice that it's a Florida form, so it has marked where the broker and seller would put initials and more. I'm going to X out and it brings me right back into my transaction, right? So why would I do this? I can have this ready, fill it out, and then I can select it and I can e-sign it. I'm not going to do that now. I could print. I'm going to go do my listing presentation to the customer. I filled out my form. I want to print it from here and take it directly. Email for my customer to see. So we're going to go ahead and do that for this instance. And we're going to email our customer. We could choose a template if we want. Okay. I'll just put for emails here. None. I just wanted you to see that you could choose. I'm going to put in a message here that says, please review and presentation. We will sign. Okay. So send yourself always a copy. Okay. Scroll down and we can send an email. We can also fax. Okay. Select the items, click to fax within the United States, put the recipient name, recipient fax number, and message. We can also select and merge. What's this good for? I opened up a file this morning. When you had files, remember Manila folders? I could make a mistake, open up a file. I close it, right? I put it on my desk, and then I start to fill out another form, and I open a new file saying, I don't think I opened a file for this transaction. That can happen to you electronically, and you can merge here. You can also copy to a transaction. Select, and not in this instance, maybe with the listing agreement, but I want to copy to a transaction. Why would I do this? Well, what happens if I'm making multiple offers for a rental or for a home purchase and they're not accepted? But I want to use the same paperwork because almost everything is the same. Maybe the difference would be dates and address. I could come and copy to a transaction. So when you have a rental and your customer you may make an offer and it's not accepted, are you going to do all of the paperwork again? Or would you come and create a new transaction here, take your paperwork that's already filled out, put it into the new transaction by doing this, and then just updating the address and maybe dates. How nice is that? So you can copy to create new, and you could download, you can select, and this is actually done probably when you would finish with a transaction. You could come and download, and you can do it to your local device, meaning the computer you're connected to, Dropbox, if you had signed up to Dropbox, Google, download as a zip, or disable editing and download. So you have several offers. Now we emailed it. Give me 1 second. I'm going to stop my share and go ahead and open up my email. Right. And let me come back in. And here we are. This is the email that we had mailed to. Okay, we'll come in. Here it is, forms to sign. So your customer would receive this via email, your information, an email address for the transaction if they wanted to return the document, and a downloadable PDF document for them to sign. This is FREE. They can sign this way. Coming back to the transaction, right? I can also add external files. What happens if my transaction has condo docs or an application? I can come and upload files from here, drag and drop them in, look for my local device, Dropbox or Google Drive, and upload them to the transaction. So I'm going to click do my local. We're going to come down and look at downloads. Let's see if I have a PDF. We'll just add this one. Open it up, and we can call this, application. Save the file. And now we've added it to our transaction. So you can add external files. What happens if I do something and I don't see? My screen is black. Do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Thank you. Did you see when I added the external file?
Yes.
Okay, good, good, good. Just making sure. You did not? Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you first how to delete this one. Yeah, I stopped sharing for a second to go into the email, but you should have seen this portion. So now I've selected, I'm gonna click on delete. And now I'm gonna show you how to upload a file. So condo docs, etc., that are external, that are not forms from Florida Realtors. I'm gonna upload, select my local file. Are you seeing my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, it was only for 1 second that I made it so that you couldn't see it. So I'm hoping you had seen all of this. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and select a report, save the file. And what that does is you have any type of external document that you need added to your transaction, you can do it so there. Okay. You can see transaction participants, so who you've added. In this case, these two are from my brokerage. These two are the seller party connected to the address. And I can come and add service providers, buyer parties, and more simply by clicking. Scrolling down, I can see tasks or create tasks. So I have a new task list or load a task list template. So if I've created a template, I could do this, or I could create one from here. I can call this listing, right? Save new task list, right? And I can start to add tasks underneath, like listing presentation, assign it to me. I can set a specific date or relative to the transaction, either or. And let's say I'm going to do the listing presentation tomorrow, right? I want to save and create a new task. And my next task would be set a specific date, right? Oh, that was too far. There you go. And here we're going to enter add listing MLS, right? It was assigned to me. And then I save my task, and under my listing, I have these two. Okay. What does this do? On these dates, since in my preferences, I have chosen to receive notifications, I'll get an email saying that for this transaction, the listing presentation or add to MLS is due. So it's a little reminder of the next step. So if we were in the process of helping someone purchase, there might be inspection and deposit date that you would add. E-sign sessions, if I've done any e-sign collaborations, I can collaborate with a colleague, right? Or someone I share, and I can come and write to them. I can choose a template if I want, or I can write my message. And this is, let's say, transaction or new listing in the city of Miami. Okay, so this is me telling my colleague, right? Christine, this is the Grove, the North Grove transaction. So she knows what it's about, and I'm doing what? My signature's already there. Any outgoing email signatures would include the signature that I did at the very beginning, and I can send. I can enable and disable her access, right? And I've added her in. So once she accepts, I'll be able to do it. I can click and resend if I needed to. I can add notes. So let's say I need to remind owner to obtain the floor plans, right? Or a survey. And I add the note, and it'll keep a date and timestamp for my records. I can have an email history every time I've emailed it out. I emailed it to this email for it to be signed on the 31st, right, of July at 1:48. And I can see the history of the entire transaction. I started the transaction at 1:43, and I can see everything we've done from adding forms to emailing, etc. This is fabulous for you to remember. How many?
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Sorry. When you hit on collaborate and you send that email, it sends them the link so they can go in and alter the file.
They can work on the transaction with you.
Okay, so if you're gonna send a regular email, you don't want to do it through there. That's just to give him access,
No, that's
right?
just collaborative effort to another
Got
colleague
it.
that's working with you or your transaction manager. If you have
Okay.
someone that does transaction. We sent the email of the documents. I already did that.
Right,
But
yeah,
we did it from here. We selected, right? You would select and then you could choose to email. So then
okay,
in the next version, I'll do the esign. So I did the
okay.
test now, and now I'm getting ready to go into the email. Because the other part that we like to show you here is if you knew what the customer received, wouldn't it help you with your transaction?
Yeah,
Remember when I sent this, I opened up the email, I looked for it, remember? It was right here. You see it? Select it. And then this is what the customer receives. It's a PDF and they can download it, right? They can open it up, print it, sign it, and then it provided them this email address to do what? I'm going to go ahead and copy it here. So let's say the customer is doing this and they call you and they tell you, I've printed up the document, I've signed it everywhere you told me, and I want to send it to you. This email is for this transaction. So if they kept this, they could send it here, or many of them are going to do what? They're going to send it to you. What if you don't want to download it to your computer? Open up Form Simplicity, upload it. What could you do? You could copy here, or in transaction on the very top, you see that the email address is right here. You could copy this, and instead of downloading it and keeping it somewhere you don't want to, or flooding your computer, what you would do here is click forward, and you would send it yourself to the transaction.
okay,
The customer can do it, and you can do it. And what that does is keep all of your items within the transaction. I'm going to refresh, but it takes a little while because that goes into a queue. But if received, you would receive it here and you would see who it came from, the description, and the date and time that it was received. So that's excellent because you would see it here, but you would also see it where? On the transaction history. So what this is trying to do is to tell you to put all the paperwork you possibly can
in
right?
one hub, yeah,
and keep a record for yourself. Don't you love that?
yep,
To
absolutely,
me, it's the purpose of this.
yeah,
The one thing that the paper, if you had an actual paper, doesn't do. As a matter of fact, I was going to suggest to you, how many of you have ever done a listing presentation? You go in person, right?
right,
And they sign the documents there. The
yeah,
minute that you have access, you should scan and do what? Upload.
upload it, yeah.
Okay. And that way it'll keep what?
It keeps everything in one hub,
And the transaction history is intact. You
right,
have a smartphone?
yeah,
Everybody has a smartphone.
yeah.
Yes or no? All of you have ways to scan.
Nowadays, everybody has one,
Yeah, and you can scan it quickly because you have
yeah.
applications that will turn everything. So this is just a great way to see that. Okay. All right.
I use Cam Scanner. Do you think that's a good one?
Sure, why not? Anything that'll scan it,
Okay,
you can put it up. Good. All righty.
okay,
So we finished this transaction as far as we could go, right? We got supposedly our listing agreement. Let me refresh to see if we got the doc. There it is. Here's the document, you see, with a name, when it was received, and time and date. So now if I needed to, I could send that to my broker or send it to the MLS and say, this is why I'm adding in this listing. Okay. So just for you to see. Now let's have fun. How many of you are listing agents, will be listing agents, but how many of you are currently working maybe as a buyer agent and looking for items or starting to look for items for customers? Do you look for listings in Form Simplicity or do you look for them where?
In the MLS.
Thank you. So what I want you to understand too is that this first one was an example of you doing a listing agreement for a purchase, for a home or maybe for a rental. We did that process. Now let's talk about us working with someone who's interested in buying. I come into the MLS and then share with me via chat, one zip code you're interested in so I can look for a property. All righty. Rosalind, I don't know if I said that right, but we're going to start with yours because you sent it first. Everybody else, thank you. Oh, yeah, glad I said it right, Ari. So we're going to do a search, RE1, RE2, in 331, right? I'm sure you're all MLS experts. 33139. Okay. I have 767 matches. I always like to look. And we're going to come to results. And I have a nice mix here of single family and a condo. Let's look. Let's put 100 on a page. It's always neat to see. Let's keep on looking here. Condo, single family condo. Okay. Of course, we would love the most expensive one. Let's go peek at this one. Look how tough this is. Look. I mean, we could have given class there. Yes or no, Roslyn? So here goes my believing in the secret, many sales onto you, and hopefully this one, right? So I come into here. I had sent this to my customer. It's active. My customer wants to make an offer. But I want you to see a couple of things here. The MLS currently will denote listings with this. Have you seen those before? These are currency symbols. That one looks like an asterisk. And what this is telling you, the folio is not directly from there, so I would have to check it. But the legal and the square footage comes directly from the tax service. So I could easily come into here and do what? Click Form Simplicity, the little icon within Matrix. My customer wants to make an offer on this one. I close my notification. I save, right? I can save it to a transaction, but look at all the info it brought in. Address, legal description, year built, bedrooms, baths, listing information, listing start date, brokerage information, correct? All of that is into here. I could put in a purchase price. I could put our agent information is in. I could add our phone, and I can do what? Save this automatic to each transaction, and I can put here to an existing one, or same as the address. So here's my address, and here I added it in. How many of you like that? And now I can choose the property type, in this instance, residential, and transaction property type, purchase, right? And I save it to a new transaction. And now from here, I can do what? Add a blank form. And let's say I have to go to use the as is, select it. And I'm going to use the as is contract and the writer, both. I add it to my transaction because I searched it here, right? And now I have them both in. So where did I start from? Matrix. I found the listing my customer wanted, and I clicked Form Simplicity. Alrighty, we're back in, right? And I need to open them up. I could click to open. And let's say my customer wants to offer the 54 million. And then I cannot teach you how to fill the forms. We offer as-is classes, and your broker should guide you as well. So I'm not going to continue here, but I do want to bring you all the way, let's say, to page 11. And I started here about 9.5 years ago, and this was about 8 pages long. And now it's made it to 13. But there's an additional term area after addenda. Ask your office where you would put clauses in. But if you've written the clauses into the system, and I'm going to show you how to do that a little later, you can come here to additional terms. Some of you, your office may add it this way. Find out, and you would click to insert a clause, select your clause, right? Insert. And let's do the cafecito clause and close. So there is a sale price here of $2.99 that has to happen, that has to be paid. And the person also has to create, give a cortadito to me without sugar at 4 p.m. Or a café con leche, 9 a.m. is a cortadito with no sugar. And at 4 p.m. it's a café con leche with 2 Splenda. The significance here, find out where you need to put in clauses if there's any fees, right? Because you don't want those to come from your commission. And the second one is always read, because this person forever has to give me this. What do you do here? You would click to save, right? It saves the form and you close it out. So let's say that this customer is ready to e-sign and you've upgraded to include e-sign. You select, You click to e-sign, right? And now I could, of course, send it here, but we're pretending. So I'm going to remove and we're going to do what? New e-sign. If you're your DocuSign user, you would go into here, but we're going to do e-sign from the system. We click into new e-sign. Give the system a minute. And now it tells you call the title. It has the name of the transaction, and we're going to call the title first sign, right? We can set reminders if we want to, maybe 3 days in, right? So that would be, that's the end of July. I hit 1, 2, 3. Let's say we want a reminder on the 3rd. Your message, and you can write in your message to the customer. Dear customer, please select, review, and sign. And you'll see why I use that. If you're going to do e-sign, you want to use that. Or you can select or put click, whatever you want. Recipient, if you want it in order. I personally want everyone to get it at once. Makes everything easier. Include you as a signer. There's documents that you as a realtor need to sign. This is where you would toggle over to yes. I don't, but I wanted you to see, right? And then you can start to add your recipients. If you already have them in the system, you can look them up. Let's say this is my customer and I want to add them. Okay, add recipient, and I have to put a first and a last name, so constant. It didn't do it, so I will. Need to add your recipient if there's an authentication, if you want to add a PIN or SMS or additional item in. If you want to allow delegation, if they're signing in person, to disable, include attachments, etc. Any notes, we click to save. Okay. Yes, if it already exists, that's fine. And now I've added who's going to sign. Here are the documents. If I've forgotten anything or I need to add something, I can upload or get from a cloud. And now I'm done with this page. So on the top here, I can do what? Next. Now I select my signer roles. I click and here's my buyer. And if I had to add someone additionally, first name, last name, and email address, and I could add the signer here too. I click on next. I understand that not everything has been allocated because I only have one person and there's slots for more. And here are the forms, 13 pages. I click next. Now I can review and I have the ability to do what? Let's look at this. I put 54 million. What if this was a counter offer? I could do a strike through if permitted. I could add in text. And let's say I'm offering, oops, let's see. Oh yeah, I did it. So I'm going to go ahead into here and I'm going to put 55. Okay, and then, oops, I did this change. So now what do I need? Come to the top and I need to select who from the drop down up here. And I can add a signature, initials as required. So ask your broker what's required and a date and time next to it. Okay, and let's say I'm done. I can preview. See what's going to be sent out. Look for any items additionally that I need to do. What happens if I'm not done? I can always come to the top, right? And I can click the back button in my e-sign session and fill something out. And then now that I'm done, I've written my message. All I have to do is click on send. That was the e-sign session. If there are Florida forms, there's nothing for you to add because the Florida forms already come marked with location, who's the recipient, where the person puts their initials, etc. So now what does the customer get? And this becomes key because they're going to look to you to tell them what's right or wrong or what's good or what's bad. So here we are, right? This is our session. I'm going to close that out. I'm going to come back to form simplicity, right? Here we have the transaction, but I'm pending to wait. My customer, I tell them I sent you the e-sign. Open up your email. Did you get it? And here you have the first signing info, right? First signing is the message, dear customer, information. And do you see why I said review and sign in my message? Please select review and sign. Because this is what the customer receives. They click through. They accept, right? And they start. Okay, they can edit the signature if they have it, and they can choose. Or they can click to draw, and if they're on a pad and this is what they want to use, they can. Oh, I don't like that. Switch back to the style, right? And select the style that you want to represent. You are choosing for this to represent. That's what they're doing. You click select. And now once they've done that, they start. And they'll start to visit each item. And they can stop and read if they want to review. I'm just doing quick for the sake of our class. Do they get a copy? Yes. When they finish, they get a copy. Can they mark that they're done before? They could try, but it'll tell them how many items they need or what's left. Like if they try to click done, it'll tell you you're not quite finished. Okay. Remind them to keep going. All required fields have been completed. Yes. Your signing is complete. Congratulations. This is what the customer gets. But I always like to show you, if you come back in, the customer will then immediately get a way to download the documents that they signed immediately, faster than you. Now, you can come back into Matrix on the top, and you can either come into the blank form area. I like to show you this, right? Or my files. Sorry, that was where we wanted to come. And you can actually see my esign here. You can also see files you've added in the system. Or you could directly come to home and you know the transactions here. You can click in it and see if your documents have arrived, and they haven't yet. So we're going to give it a couple of seconds. While that's coming back to notify you, right? I'm going to come into the blank forms and show you. All of you have access through blank forms to the board forms. These include status change forms, requests, right? For, let me show you down here. Oh, none of those from the Florida ones. I want to see Miami. So you have here permission to advertise, the request for affirmation of presentation of purchase offer, right? You have all of the adding of the MLS listings here according to the name in the MLS. You have the syndication out form. And you also have here one that's very common. Let's look up here. Coming soon, comp. Where are you? Reciprocal listing, the status change form. Typical, you have a listing and you need to change status. You have to include that. So I wanted you to see that you had all those. You also have all of your Florida forms in alphabetical order. Form name, the type, and the last update, right? Here you have the as is that we used. You could also come into here and click and open. You could review it. You could print it. And you could start your paperwork here. So if this is the form you needed, you start the paperwork and then you could click to save. And you can add to an existing. Or you could come and create a transaction. Okay. Now, I'm going to come back home and we're going to see if our forms came in. Normally, you would get a notification in an email. So I'm going to peek a minute to see if I got my email notification. Okay, I haven't seen it just yet, but we'll go ahead and click through here. If not, I'll show you another. Here they are. So these were the forms I sent out to my customer. I selected and I e-signed to. And this is what I have received. Okay. I also want you to see that here's e-sign session information and that it's been completed, and I can copy this. I can also scroll down and see the history. And the history will include my first session of signing, and it's complete. But there's something else. Do you see the files here and that there's a COA? Not only is my form signed, but I can click through here and open the COA. And this is a certificate of authenticity saying that the person has, in fact, here's the session and signer information, IP address, session documents, number of initials, right? And items, dates, signatures. I can see the info and the disclosure statement. I can X out from here. And now I'm ready to do what? This is an offer. Okay, let me close this out. And now I can come and select my paperwork and click to email and send my offer to the other realtor. How do you like that? esign is nice, it's swift, it makes it easy. You can be next to the person or they could be around the world and they can sign electronically. Now let's talk about a couple of other things. I'm done with my transaction, Connie. What can I do? You can find it and you can actually remove it and change the status. You can click on it, open it up. You can archive it if you're ready to. What does archiving mean? So these are a simulation of transactions that you're working on. You should only have under home and view here, right? Or transactions and the view here, the ones you're currently working on. So where are the archive? That's like opening up the filing cabinet and putting your transactions away. Here you have the transaction. Why would you do that? I'm done. I don't want it to clutter my other items up. I come back to my transactions, right? And I can see my current transactions. I can view it in different formats just by clicking up top. I can search for a transaction and I can select filters to just view certain transactions. New, active, pending, closed, list, leased, rented, expired, depending on the status change I've made. I can see my shared transaction. Remember, I shared and collaborated. If the other person had signed in, we would see it here. My archived, I showed you. This is the archived transactions, the ones I've already completed. Tasks. This is a task list of all the items that we added in. And then we have any esign session information. Here was my first signing from today. Blank forms. We clicked on here before, but I wanted you to see you have access to Board of Miami, to Florida Realtors, and to Fannie Mae, and you can come to the top and search from here as well. Form packages. This is something I wanted to show you. Sometimes you'll come into here and you'll see broker-wide ones. They probably want you to use the form package that they've created. What happens if you're at a brokerage that doesn't have them? You can create your own. You take the list of forms that they require you to use. Right? They may have emailed it to you or giving you a printout, etc. And what you do is you can take and invest some time in you and come and create a package by naming it. I'm gonna call mine my afternoon and create it. And then from here, I have to find it. And so here it opens up. So here's the cool part. I can add the blank forms. So my broker gave me a list. I can click to add my blank forms. And let's say for this one, I need mine as is. Right? I selected, oh, I look at my list and it says the right of two and the right of inspection. So I select all three items that show up. I add them to my package. And let's say that my broker tells me to always have a walkthrough. Click add blank form again, and I'm going to type walk. And here I have a buyer walkthrough that's on the list as well. I click and I add it to my package. What have I just done? I've created a package with forms. I could come into blank forms and packages, and I can actually start a transaction from here, name it, choose if it's existing or add a new one, and name it and start my transaction from this package. What does this mean? In simple terms, it's many times. Any of you ever gone to the doctor? Can you imagine getting to the doctor? Normally they ask you, you walk through the door and they ask you ID and what? Insurance card? And they'll always have forms for you to fill. Some places now have them electronically and some still have it on paper. Can you imagine if that moment when you arrived, that's when they would print out or prepare what you needed? When you got there, they already have a package, right? This is the equivalent for you. You create your packages if you don't have the broker-wide ones. Why? So when you do have a transaction, you're set to go. Okay, form packages. Clauses. Any of you have fees in your offices? Anybody has fees? If you have fees, you may want to come in here and see if there is any for your brokerage. And you can create them if you want. You take the verbiage provided by your office. So let's say that this is a foreign buyer. I'm just getting this in. And I'm going to put you for anyone, not you, as there is an additional fee, and you take the verbiage fee of $250 and you save it. Right? And now you've created it. Then you look for your list, foreign buyer. It's right here. And that will do what? Whatever you add into here, you will then easily be able to add into your forms because every time you open the form, it's on the top. Remember I showed you? Just in case, let's come back to transaction. I'm going to show you again. I have this transaction I'm working on. I'm going to click through here. And I see the as is here. I click in it. How do I do that? Just click. And I know that I have to add the foreign buyer fee because they're a foreign buyer. I do what? Come to page 11. I think 11 or 12. And my broker has said that I need to add it here. Okay. You add it where your broker says, whatever page they tell you. You click add additional terms, insert the clause, foreign buyer fees, insert and close. What does that do? Now it's clear because it's on the contract, if that's where your broker tells you to put it, that they have to pay this fee. Okay. What would you do here? Save and close out. And if you needed to sell it, send it, you can select it and do what? If you have esign, you've upgraded esign. You can print, email, and fax for free, fax within the US, right? And you can download a copy or delete if you needed to. Alrighty, let's come to the contacts area because we haven't touched that one. Sometimes it behooves you to add your contacts, especially if you're working with them continuously. It's very easy. You click into contacts here or on the home page. Click to add a new contact and you put their first name, street address, last name appears, city, state, zip, home email, home phone, work phone, cell phone info, and notes. And then you can click create. Once you have your customer in the system, right, you can select and you can choose to do what? Delete and delete the account. You can also import. So I'm here under contacts and I can click to import. I can do Google, Outlook, or vCard. vCard, what is what? Or just like the Outlook, those are external files that you would add in, and Google is to log in to Google, your Google account, and add them in. Do you need to add everyone here? No. But I wanted you to see how easy it is to add that. Last but not least, templates. Templates are important because you can have your personal task list here, right? Okay, let me refresh again. And scroll down. Let me look here back to the top. Those are the only ones I seem to have. How do you add these? Create a new task list, name it, and let's say I have foreign buyers. Now I'm in here and I want to add right here, add a new template task, and I want to put fill affidavit assigned to me to be determined and added in. And let's say after that, I have a new foreign country form. Add it to myself, save it, and maybe there's some disclosure. So, okay, assign it to myself or whomever and sign. And now I've created a task list for my foreign buyers that I can use in any one of my transactions, not allowing me to forget that I may need to do these. So you could also come into here and actually add them to a transaction. Okay, copy a template. You can delete it or delete the whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and select, add to a transaction, and then I can look down and let's say this is the one I wanted to add this for. The one in San Marino for 54 million, and I could click to add the task there. Automatically add it. How do I know? I can click home or transaction, either or, and I can come into my transaction. And let's look at the task list. So here are the forms, here are the ones that we did electronically, and here are the tasks. Okay.
One quick question, Connie.
Sure.
I went to your class in Coral Gables for MLS, and you said for forgiving countries, if it's reconstruction, after the closing, we have 10 days, so appears on the MLS. Is that correct?
I haven't given MLS classes in Coral
Well,
Gables in forever, so it could have been any one of us.
no, it was you. I will never forget you. You were amazing.
Ah,
It was
now
you.
when you do new construction or pre-construction, you need to add in. And that doesn't
Oh,
have anything to do with form simplicity. I'll answer you in 1 minute, but I don't want to confuse everyone else.
okay. Thank you, Connie.
Okay. But I
Thank you.
do want to show you here. What you're
Okay.
talking about is comp only sales, and under blank forms,
Okay.
you have comp only sale reporting.
Okay.
This is
Perfect.
a
Yeah, I
form that
wait.
you need to fill out. The rest of you that are here, how many of you are new or considering selling new construction? You can chat or talk. I'm watching.
I've considered selling it.
Okay. Resident, I'm not sure when I wasn't showing. My screen has been showing completely. I'm monitoring it on my phone. I'm so sorry if you're not seeing, but I am recording, okay? All right. So if you're considering selling new construction, there is a MLS class where we talk about this, 501. If you've taken it, remember now we have 7 MLS classes, right? But this here to answer the question that came about is here we have comp only sales. So when you finish selling outside of the MLS, whether it's FISBO or new construction, you have, right, up to 30 days after the HUD settlement statement. If you put this info and it's not correct, this is the penalty. But you can add comp only sales, right? And put the closing statement info, closing date, contract date, buyer, seller, origin, just like if you were selling it in the MLS, the financing type, the furnished, the garage. And this form is here. And once you submit it with your broker, you would send it here along with the HUD settlement statement. How exciting is that? But you
Great.
have 30 days after the settlement statement to do that, up to, not a day more. And the MLS team will add to the MLS and it will show under your sale activity and it will help us with comps. Yes, but since she asked me, I'm here. The rest of you are here too. I'm done with form simplicity. I want to show you one thing and I'll show you more on the comp, especially since so many of you answered. Form simplicity is meant to help you easily navigate a transaction, and it works just like a folder, and you manage the folder like you did on your desk by putting it here, moving it on, archiving it, and sending it. We came in and we did our preferences. We looked at the help area, right? We did a couple of presentations. Not only did we do one like if we were doing a listing, which I hope and wish onto all of you, but we also came in and we had some fun looking at this beautiful $54 million property, which I hope one of you or all of you sell. And what did we do from here? I showed you how to link through. I don't want you to forget that from the main page of Matrix, I opened up Form Simplicity initially. From where? From here. I also wanted you to show you that here, when you log in, most of you love to come into Matrix. That's why I showed you how to get in from here. But I wanted you to see that this is the icon with single sign-in created for you for Form Simplicity. The recording will be available. And before I let you go, and I will answer the component sale, it will be available on youtube.com/miamitrainers. youtube.com let me go ahead here. youtube.com/miamitrainers. And it will also be available.
Welcome to these classes.
Let me go ahead and stop that video. It will also be available to you from the gateway, right? Probably in a week on Miami Realtor Line. We have currently Form Simplicity recorded here. So I'm going to come to the top. Click over to here, type in Form Simplicity. I wanted you to see that we have them available. All right. And I see that there's a couple questions. So give me a second while I look through. No, you do not. All of you have access to Form Simplicity. The additional fee is for the esign. And that's why I showed you the Platinum Plus, and I showed you that you could click and get the information directly from Florida realtors. Thank you for being Miami members. Always more with Miami.